Speed Channel presents the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Today from Watkins, Glen International, it's final practice for tomorrow's running of the Sirius satellite radio at the Glen. The long tradition of road racing here in Watkins, Glen, New York began on the streets of the nearby village back in 1948, moved to this site in 1956, and tomorrow 43 drivers will seek victory on America's most famous racing course. Let's go to the garage where things are happening now before the cars roll out for final practice. We start with Matt Yoakum.
Pole sitter and new track record holder here at Watkins Glen, Jeff Gordon, on a drive for 5 Watkins Glen victories. 4th quick in the morning session. Jeff, how's the race car?
It's good. We need to make it a little bit better. It was a little bit tight in some areas, so we're going to work on that. And I mean, car's fast, that's for sure. And you know, I was in a little bit of traffic, so I was a little bit tight in traffic, and we got that pole. So hopefully we're not in too much traffic. I'd like to get out there in some clean air. Car really seems to like that.
Track position always important here at Watkins Glen. Gordon looking to pad his already all-time road course record of 7 victories with another here this weekend. Dave?
Well, Matt, we're keeping our eyes this weekend on the guys who turn right as well as left for a living. The fastest in the morning session of those guys was Ron Fellows, 3rd. Ron, we know you know how to drive the road course, so in this big car compared to your Corvette, what kinds of things are you thinking about now to work on during this happy hour?
Well, there's unlike the C5R Corvette, there's a big difference between qualifying trim and race trim, and we're working on drivable balance for me, plus thinking about what I need the car to do for me to be able to pass people.
And they worked on the transmission as well. They changed that, give them a little different gear ratio this session. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach here at Watkins Glen, ready to bring you coverage of Winston Cup final practice. Wally, you were just out on the track in your Mountain Dew car. Unlike an oval track happy hour, is there really anything different a driver's looking for in a road course final practice?
Not really, Alan, because you're looking for a balance. And the most important thing here on a road course is you've got all that fuel in the back. And when you turn left and right, you're swinging all that weight in the back of the car. So you're trying to get the car balanced good enough at the start of the run. So when that fuel burns off, you want to be fast the last 20 laps of your run.
Now, this is the 2nd practice session the drivers have had here at Watkins Glen today. There were just a couple of minor incidents in the first one earlier today. First up, Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, it looks like Dale may have got on that curb as he entered the bus stop there. Got the car loose. It's real easy to do in that section of the racetrack.
Then the driver who'll start 2nd tomorrow, Greg Biffle.
Normally when you go off the end of turn 1, it's because of wheel hop. It's because you have too much rear brake in the car, and when you jump on the brakes, the rear actually bounces in the back of the car. And the only way to get out of a wheel hop is to get back in the gas. And that's hard to do when you're screaming down in a corner trying to slow the car down.
And a guardrail staring you in the face and all the rest.
Exactly.
All right, getting set to go with Winston Cup final practice here at Watkins Glen. You're seeing it live on Speed Channel. Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin among those ready to head out. Later today here on Speed Channel, the ARCA Series is at Nashville Super Speedway. You'll see it live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time here on Speed. Down in the garage, Dave Burns.
And we're with Robbie Gordon now. You know, Robbie, you just got a couple laps in Wally's Mountain Dew car there. I mean, how much did that pick you up for this happy hour session?
Well, that was pretty cool. You know, I don't think I've ever driven a stock car with a passenger before, and me and Wally, we were having some fun. We used to race together quite a bit back when we both drove for Roush and 24 Hours Daytona, so you bring races like that. So pretty neat to have him riding with me. Car drove pretty good, too.
The right side weight factor wasn't too big there?
I think it's better. It kind of, bounced over the curb and got that thing down to the ground quicker.
Wally, you keep talking about balance, man. I guess you were it for Robbie.
I am the balance. A lot of these guys are going to be looking for my services tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah. Matt?
And besides balance, Robbie Gordon's teammate Kevin Harvick looking for a new transmission. Now, you're trying a different gear ratio, Kevin?
Yeah, we're just trying to fine-tune it right now. The GM Goodwrench car's been really good. The driver was out there lollygagging around yesterday in qualifying, but other than that, the car's pretty good.
Hard to believe it. You've never led a lap in Winston Cup on a road course. But then again, they said last week you could never win the free car from the pole.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys told me that nobody had won from the pole last week, so you made me nervous. So I guess I just need to be issued a little challenge. But, I mean, the car should be good enough to challenge for a front 2 or 3 spot. And just got to put ourselves in position like we did last week at the end of the race.
Kevin Harvick, 7 quick in the morning session, nearly won the race of Sonoma back in June. Alan?
Cars will roll for Winston Cup final practice when we come back to Watkins Glen International. You're watching NASCAR on Speed. today. Get a roundup on everything that's happening in the world of motorsports. Speed News Saturday, live 7 Eastern time tonight here on Speed Channel. Watkins Glen final practice and everything else that's going on around the world of motorsports. Cars lined up, getting ready to roll out onto track here at Watkins Glen International to get their final 45 minutes of practice on this 11-turn road course. Steve Park, Casey Mears lined up at the head of the field there. Fastest in the first practice session earlier today, Tony Stewart.
And there it is.
Watkins Glen International.
Real hard in a turn. Wow, that thing's going pretty fast. I'm not even going to explain the lap. It's going way too fast.
Uphill through the S's, right on the backstretch.
Third, fourth gear, down third, second gear.
Jump the curb.
Got to jump the curb.
Outer loop.
Stay on the inside. Be careful, wheel hop area. Danger, danger.
Yes, Will
Back
Robinson.
around, and there it is.
You got to be fast.
Got to be fast.
And practice is underway. Got Scott Pruitt out there along with Casey Mears. You see the two target cars there. Chip Ganassi Racing fielding a fourth entry here this weekend, I should say. 41 is Mears, 39 there, Scott Pruitt. There's Casey making his Winston Cup debut this weekend. Casey qualified 12th for the race tomorrow. It's a pretty good effort for your first time here at the Glen.
Sure is.
Steve Park kind of struggling in the first practice session, was only 39th fastest in the AOL car, qualified 41st.
They'll set him up here. Probably outbrake him going into turn one. That's one of the best places to pass on this racetrack, is right down getting into one. You pull on the inside. Didn't pull it off there, though.
Casey Mears 14th fastest in the first practice and going to get on. Well,
that's a real hard place to pass right there.
Yikes.
And when that happens, you slow down so much because both cars have to slow down running side by side through the S's that whoever's behind you usually just gobbles you right up.
Now let's see how much curb they take here. Remember yesterday in qualifying, Robbie Gordon hopped that curb and got all four. I mean, it looked like 3 of the 4 wheels were off the ground.
Yeah, you can do that once, but you don't want to make a habit of doing that. You can bop the curb. Normally, you just hit it with your right side tires, and the curb is low enough to it really doesn't upset the car. But on a qualifying run, you're hauling the mail through there. So.
Of course, Steve Park, the 2000 winner here at Watkins Glen, then driving the 1 car. Talked about Ronnie Gordon taking that curve at the entrance to the inner loop or the bus stop or the chicane, whatever you want to call it. Check this out. This was yesterday in his time trial lap.
Yeah, Robbie really launched himself off this thing, and that looked pretty cool. But that's something you don't want to do every lap. Like I said, it's real hard on the right front suspension. And when the tires, see how loose he is right there? That's really good on a qualifying run, but you can't do that when your tires are really hot.
About our championship leader, Matt Kenseth's weekend so far, Dave?
Well, let's check in with his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, sitting on the pit wall here just outside of turn 11. Robbie, he was 9th in the morning session. What more are you trying to get him on this session?
Well, we ain't really interested in time. We're just interested in getting the car comfortable for him. I would probably do a little work on fuel mileage and do a couple tire checks and things like that, but that's about all we're doing.
We talk a lot about wondering what your goals might be this weekend. Obviously, road course is not where Matt grew up racing. What have you guys talked about in terms of your goals this weekend? Just get out with a top 10?
Well, obviously every weekend you run for a top 10, but I wouldn't say we ain't going to run well. We've had opportunities to running well. We just made some mistakes. Hopefully this weekend we won't make any mistakes.
They do that, guys. They might just end up with the W.
You know what? Matt is a pretty good road course driver. I mean, I remember racing against Matt here when I was driving the Cup car 4 or 5 years ago, and he gets around this place as good as anyone does.
Matt qualified 7th for tomorrow's race, so it's a pretty good starting spot. And he didn't really get a chance to find out how well he might have finished in this race a year ago, because pretty early on in the race, like 12 laps in, watch the DeWalt car.
And that's a classic example of what I talked about earlier, is too much rear brake.
And when you get off into that gravel trap, you're not going anywhere for a while. So they tow it out. You lose a lap, maybe 2, while they get the tow truck hooked up and pull you out of the gravel trap. And here at Watkins Glen, if you get a lap down, you're going to finish somewhere back in the 30s.
Yes.
At best. Top 2 in the championship there nose to tail on track. Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind Matt. I talked with Matt yesterday about racing here at Watkins Glen, and he said, you know, we won't ever get a lot of credit for it, but we run decently here. We're not going to be one of those guys that's probably going to step up and be a threat to win the race on flat speed, but if we're up there and we play our strategy right, the way these things unfold, anything could happen.
Absolutely. Car looks like he's handling pretty good. He's, what, second on the chart right now. He's all over Matt.
Junior's really struggled here for results in his Winston Cup career. 40th, 2000, 35th in 2002. His best is a 12th in 2001. Matter of fact, we showed you Matt Kenseth ended up in the gravel trap last year. How about Junior? He took his turn.
Just like Matt, too much rear brake. See the car jumping there? That's the wheel hop I was talking about. And I'm telling you what, man, once that wheel hops, it's hard, especially going out of turn 1 because you're carrying so much speed. Sometimes you get out of it. Sometimes, like I said, you just got to touch the throttle. That will free up that wheel hop, but it's just hard to tell yourself to do it.
Dale Jr. starting 6th in tomorrow's race. Just a spot ahead of Matt Kenseth. Those two separated by 286 points in the race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Mark Martin has set the fastest lap so far. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain now on 4 nights a week. Live 9 p.m. Eastern Time, taking your calls here on Speed Channel. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain now Monday through Thursday nights. And it's Winston Cup final practice here at Watkins Glen International with Bobby Labonte on track. Ran the most laps of anyone in the first practice session and ended up 5th fastest. 18 car going to start 9th in tomorrow's race. We saw Michael McSwain, crew chief, watching his car's progress from the garage stall earlier. Matt?
And he's reading out the lap times to Bobby Labonte. Fatback, what do you think so far?
We're pretty happy. We were decent at Sonoma and weren't quite as good as we wanted to be, so we came up here and tested, and it's paid off for us for the most part. We haven't made a lot of changes today. Worked on a little gear ratio stuff and a couple shots, that's about it.
Now, you have a victory at Sears Point, but Bobby's never won a road course race. That would be a big win for both him and you.
Yeah, I mean, this road course race is tough, you know, especially when you got these big hitter road race drivers come in. So we worked really hard, put a lot of effort into this race, and we'll just see if it pays off.
Bobby knocked down one big goal, and that was a win on a short track. Now he wants to win on a road course. His best career finish, a 4th at Sonoma during his championship year back in 2000.
You know, it's funny talking about goals and things that different people want to accomplish, and winning on a road course being one of them, but any win anymore is big. These races have gotten so tough to take. No one better at Watkins Glen than the man driving this car, Mark Martin. 3 victories here. They all came in a row, 93, 94, 95. They were all from the pole. 11 top 5 finishes in 15 Winston Cup races at Watkins Glen. That's pretty good average.
Yeah, I saw his bumper a couple of times here.
Yes,
crossing
you did.
the start-finish line. Yeah, Mark's very good here, very smooth, and that's the key to any road course is getting a good rhythm and stay consistent. And Mark's one of those guys that can stay consistent. I mean, does not make any mistakes whatsoever, and that's why he's so good here.
Been a lot of talk here this weekend about brake technology, Dave.
Well, Alan, it's usually not a problem of brakes failing or pads failing or rotors failing, but it's about them fading. And as Wally will be able to tell us, that's one of the things that can really kill you in the race. The brake just doesn't have what it did earlier. But one of the things that the brake manufacturers are trying to do to help that was shown to me this morning by the Brembo guys. This is a traditional brake rotor that they use here. It has 48 of these cooling vanes, which keep the temperature down. If it gets much above 1,200 degrees, the brakes do begin to fade. Now, this is a newer style that they're trying to encourage the guys to use, and about 1/3 of the field is using these. 72 of these vanes, right along log through there instead of 48. That's 30% more cooling, and the guys say that it's keeping the temperatures down, helping that brake fade to stay away.
Dave, is one heavier than the other one?
Let's find out. That one's pretty darn heavy. And that one's pretty darn heavy. This one actually feels a little bit lighter. The thing that amazes me about these, Wally, is they're not fabricated, they're cast.
Right.
These things are cast, and what a casting it takes to do this.
Red flag is out. Junior's found the gravel trap. Not too good.
Not too good.
And so practice stops here at Watkins Glen because they're going to need a minute or two to haul that car out of there. And his team's going to need about 30 minutes to shake all the rocks out of it.
Let's see what it looked like.
Now that's turn 10.
Yeah,
second to last corner.
Too much, like I said, too much for a break. These guys really have to concentrate on getting their brakes balanced, especially at that corner right there. And turn 1, I think, are the worst 2 corners for wheel hop.
So Earnhardt Jr. has put out the call for some assistance. Maybe OnStar will be coming to get him. I don't know. Red flag here at Watkins Glen. The crowd always gathers at the scene of the accident.
Is that the Three Stooges?
It might be. We know it's not the Pep Boys.
Hey, we're on, baby.
Watching as the rescue crews try to pull Dale Jr.'s car out of the gravel trap. And Jr. trying to advise and make sure it doesn't get any worse damaged coming out of there. Red flag is out.
They're doing a pretty nice job. It's that front valence.
Yeah.
When it starts grabbing the gravel like a plow.
What was it here last year or 2 years ago that Dave buried himself in the gravel trap to show what
it was
all
down
about?
in turn 1, I believe.
So Earnhardt Jr., who has already posted the second fastest lap of this practice, may have seen the last of his track time here, as his crew's going to have some work to do to get the gravel out of all the different little brake rotors and suspension pieces.
What about 2 turns of the front brake there, Dale?
There you go. Matty, what you got?
Well, Alan, we spoke to Bobby Labonte earlier in the show. He's 4th quick, but his teammate Tony Stewart, the defending winner of this race, has yet to turn a lap in this final practice session. They started up the engine, and they found some kind of oil leaks. They've been battling that much of this early part of this session. Then they tried to make it leak to try to figure out what it was, and it wouldn't leak. So he's going to try to go out, run a few laps to see if the leak does resurface. Engine tuner Roger Purcell was working on the right side of the engine, but they're just not quite sure at this juncture.
Wow. Of course, with NASCAR's 1 engine per weekend rule, if they have to change that engine for some reason, Tony will have to give up the 4th starting spot for tomorrow's race and go all the way to the back. Still under the red flag, getting Dale Jr.'s car back to the NASCAR Winston Cup garage. If for you it's all about the car, we got some things for you on Speed Channel, 9:30 Eastern, 10 Eastern on Sunday. My Classic Car and Two Guys Garage. Speed Channel, Sunday morning. Read the Sunday paper, the auto section. Watch the shows, right?
I don't read.
Yeah, we'll let that go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has driven his car back to the garage, but there'll be a lot of rocks and pebbles and other things for them to pull out of it before it's going anywhere again.
You know those rotors that Dave was holding up a little while ago? All those little veins are full of rocks right now.
Yep. And the cars have been sent back out on track, so we're just back underway here with Winston Cup final practice. Mark Martin, Earnhardt Jr., Ron Fellows, Bobby Labonte, Robbie Gordon. They have run the 5 fastest laps so far. And speaking of Mark, Dave, you with him?
And Mark just clicked off the quickest time this morning. Mark, a lot of guys have been talking about balance and comfort, and you were fast too. I mean, is the car comfortable?
Yeah, the car's comfortable. It's good. It was real good yesterday, and it was good here in our test too. So, you know, the Viagra team's got me a great race car here, and we'll see what we can do with it tomorrow.
Looked like you were having a lot of fun in qualifying. You love this road course stuff?
When I've got a good car like this one, things are going pretty good. There's a lot of good race teams out there, and there's a lot to all these races, and we're just trying to cover our bases the best we can.
Okay, we're going to keep our eye on him. Matt?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulled his car back in the garage, and even Michael Schumacher goes off into the kitty litter once in a while.
Yeah, just hopefully pretty harmless little ride through the beach there, but the car's pretty fast. You know, we've been good all weekend and testing, and we're just looking for a little extra. The car just right, not quite where I want it to be, and I was trying real hard. Just having some fun. Finally got the car fast. It wasn't too good the first practice. We got it dialed in now.
How big would it be to get a Winston Cup road course win here?
It'd be great just to get a win. You know, we need a win here. A couple more wins actually near the end of this season. So we're just doing what we can do, getting as many good finishes as we can. And we got a good car. We'll be smart tomorrow and try not to do that. You know,
that's a lot of rocks under that car already.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks, but it's a hell of a lot better than sliding through that grass than that wall. I promise you that.
Thanks, Junior.
Isn't that the truth?
Got that right.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. With just the one win so far this season. That came in Talladega back in April. Here's Tony Stewart checking to see that oil leak issue that Matt was telling us about a little bit ago. Tony, the defending winner here at Watkins Glen. Race red flagged with just a few laps to go a year ago. Then they came to the final restart, and Tony brought the issue of the restart line into much discussion.
Yep, but he did what he needed to do. It was perfectly legal. Now I believe they have a cone in the area of the restart. Is it a cone, or do they have something painted up? I think they put a cone. They're going to put a cone. But yeah, they got to. That's the thing here. You can bring the field down real slow, and you get to that last corner, and you can jump on the gas, and everybody behind you has to suffer going through that last corner. Some of them have to go through 2 corners before they can get going. So it's a hard place to restart if you're not up front.
And of course, we'll have the virtual restart line as we have had on the NBC and TNT broadcasts, so we can keep an eye on that a little bit better for you tomorrow.
You were talking earlier about if they have to change an engine. This is one of those places where it is so difficult to pass, and if you have to start in the back here, that is a tough order to win a race here at Watkins Glen and have to start at the rear of the field.
In fact, starting position of winners here at Watkins Glen, 5 of the 17 Winston Cup races that have been held in the modern era here, if you will, since the series started coming back here in 1986, 5 out of the 17 have been won from the pole, and 11 out of the 17 from the top 10 starting spots.
There you go.
18th is the farthest back anybody's ever come to win a race here.
Because really, you only have, like I said, you can pass anywhere on a road course if you've got a good race car. But the best 2 places are going into 1 and going into the chicane or the bus stop. Those are 2 places, but, you know, that's only 2 places to pass. And sometimes it takes a whole lap or longer to set up a race car to make that pass.
Just back on track after skirting the kitty litter down there inside turn 1.
You look at all that stuff coming
Gravel
out.
coming out of his car. That won't make the guys behind him very happy. Get off on exit here. Look at it kicking up out of the front tires. Man. So he'll be coming back for a visit for his team. Like I said, all those guys on the track behind him now are going to see all those stones and pebbles. And
nothing you have to be careful about when you get in those rocks and you continue like that is not knocking off your oil belt off the engine. All those rocks get up in those belts and everything. We may see that during the race tomorrow as those rocks get up, they pitch the belt off, and you're done.
McMurray in the 42 qualified 29th here. It's his first Winston Cup race at Watkins Glen. Had one NASCAR Busch Series start here at Watkins Glen in the past. This is Boris Said, one of the ringers, the road course guys in the field for tomorrow's race. Boris, of course, contender in the SCCA Trans Am Championship. Has won the Daytona 24-hour race, the Le Mans 24-hour race, the Spa 24-hour race in Belgium. He wants to do a lot more oval track racing. Had a stint in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Here he might drive a couple of ARCA Series super speedway races later this year. And course, is going to come from 10th starting spot tomorrow. I mentioned he was in the Trans Am Series. He won that championship last season. How about it, Wally? These guys coming in. You got somebody like Robbie Gordon that's a good road racer, but is a Winston Cup regular. You got these guys coming in from the outside, used to driving different types of cars, lighter cars, cars that handle better than a sloppy Winston Cup car does. Can they come in and overcome the experience the other drivers have in these kind of cars?
It's tough to win. It used to be when these guys used to come in, when a lot of the Cup drivers weren't familiar with road courses, it was easy. A road course guy could come in and finish in the top 2 or 3 without any problem. Now, the Winston Cup guys are very good at road course driving, and it's hard for a guy to just jump in and be used to everything. The pits, the pit stop. You make one little mistake during a Winston Cup race, and it'll cost you a victory, maybe 5 or 10 positions. So, you know, I think guys, you know, Fellows is with a very good team. He probably, in my opinion, has the best shot of all the guys that are just coming in. But it's a little bit tougher than it used to be.
Here's the guy everybody's talking about as a big favorite to win tomorrow, Robbie Gordon. Took the victory in the season's other event on a road course, sat out at Infineon Raceway at the end of June, Sears Point. A little controversy along the way. This was coming back to a caution flag. He passed his teammate Kevin Harvick to pick up a spot.
Robbie, obviously very good on a road course. I think what Robbie's developed over the last few years in a road course is he's always been a very aggressive race car driver, but he's always been really, really hard on his equipment. And I think he's finally figured out how to be aggressive and get in that rhythm and take care of your equipment like we talked about earlier. And that's the key to winning on these racetracks.
Talked to Robbie yesterday, and he told me that where he was lacking on ovals and had an advantage on road courses, he said, I'm not afraid to hang a car out. And on a road course, that helps me. But I was hanging my oval track car out, and that was hurting me. Now that I've learned to tighten up my oval track car, you're seeing the results come around there, and yet I can still run a very free race car on a road course.
Well, another thing, too, the road course guys have a problem with on the ovals, I did when I first came into Winston Cup, is charging the corners like you do a road course. You know, you go in a road course, and it's, you know, how deep do you dare go? That's how you pass people. You just outbrake them, and you can't do that on an oval. And that was another thing that the road course guys have got to learn to do, is roll the car into the corner on an oval.
Robbie Gordon, 10th fastest in this Winston Cup final practice right now. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are the top 2, though they're still picking gravel out of Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevy back inside the garage. There has been a curveball thrown into Christian Fittipaldi's final practice plans.
Don't say that the kitty litter won't tear your car up, because it can.
Fittipaldi carrying the pinstripes of the New York Yankees here this weekend, but he took them for an unwelcomed ride off into the turn 1. Oh. And he got it through without getting stuck, but that first shot there into the beginning of the gravel trap really wrinkled up the nose of that 44 car.
Yeah, the bounce hurt. Right here. Got him locked up, though.
Man.
So they'll be de-rocking that car for a while.
Yeah. They'll be calling for the right-hander from the bullpen.
Yeah.
And they'll have the crews out sweeping up some of the rocks that he brought back onto the track with him down inside turn 1, or had the crews out. Looks like they're headed back to their safety stations now. So we'll have final practice back underway in a minute. We'll take a break while the red flag is out. Mark Martin, fastest so far here at the Glen.
Back at Watkins Glen, the final practice session continues, and defending winner of this race, Tony Stewart. An early oiling problem now. How's the race car, Tony?
It's pretty quick right now. I mean, it's doing everything I wanted to do. Just, you know, we had that oil leak, and I think we got a little bit of the oil on the brakes up there, so it's not stopping as good as we want it right now, but that's what they're looking at and trying to get it all cleaned up and everything, try to get the braking back in it, but car's pretty fast right now.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like this race car is for tomorrow?
It's a 10.
There you have the defending winner, Tony Stewart, looking for back-to-back wins here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I've had people spray oil on the brakes for qualifying.
To keep you from using it too much?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll bet you appreciated that when you get out there trying to scream off into turn 1.
They don't tell you. It's just like you walk by the car, you see them spraying the rotors. It's like, oh, okay.
You sure they were trying to just make you go faster?
No. You can do that. You can do that a couple times. If there's some racetracks where you don't use a lot of brake. You just kind of touch the brake to set the nose, but you don't want to slow the car down. So you just kind of grease them up a little bit. They did that to me. Maybe they don't do that to everybody else. Maybe they were trying to tell me something.
Yeah, trying to deliver a message there. All right, so Tony Stewart getting ready to go back out. And here we go again. What we got left for practice time here? About 12 minutes. Track time left. Kyle Petty, Dave Blaney, Jody Nemechek coming at you. Ricky Rudd, a little different paint job this weekend. You know, one thing that really caught a lot of people's attention yesterday in qualifying, Wally, speed increase. Speeds this weekend took a big jump. Yesterday's pole winning time was a second faster than the pole last year. And guys been trying to understand why that is. There have been obviously small gains in horsepower and aerodynamics in a year's time. But a lot of folks are saying maybe the weather being cooler than it normally is here at Watkins Glen, plus all those other small gains, just added up to a big jump in speeds.
Cooler definitely had probably a lot to do with it. A second is a lot of time.
Yeah.
Is it the same tire as last year? You know?
I believe so, yes.
Because a lot of times, normally the big gains are found in tires.
Now you get a class of guys who come here to Watkins Glen and can't wait to get here and know they're going to do well, like Robbie Gordon. Then you get some guys like Dave Blaney in the 77 car, who was
just locked him up.
Got no experience road racing until he came to the upper levels of NASCAR. And you asked Dave about running a road course, and he said, it's another race on the schedule.
Yeah. Sterling's not a big fan of him.
Yep.
Jimmy Spencer's not a big fan of him.
Sterling there in the 40. What do you think? You're probably biased because you're one of the guys that ran really well on road courses.
I mean, I love driving the road courses. There's places that I'm sure that I don't like on an oval that Sterling loves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of places are just driver preference. But, you know, Sterling's been on enough of them to be good enough at it to make a decision whether he likes them or not. And I don't really think he likes them a whole lot.
Did an online poll earlier this week at NASCAR.com. Should there be the same number, more, fewer road courses? And the drivers' opinions are pretty well split on that very same issue.
Oh, there's some smoke coming out of that back of the 40 car. No, it's not anything in between. You either love it or you hate it.
Yep.
Dave, does Kurt love it or hate it?
Well, let's find out. Kurt, we were just talking about guys who come here and love road course racing, guys who come here and really don't look forward to it. Where do you put yourself on that scale?
I enjoy it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's an off weekend almost, but still they give a lot of points out. So
you work hard this weekend. It's not an off weekend.
It feels like an off weekend going left and right with it. I mean, we're trying as best we can to have fun with it, but still you've got to make sure that you do the right job. Our team came up here and tested. I think there was like 17 cars that tested. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on road course racing. And we build our specific car for it. We got our backup car that we don't want to use. And we've got all the different equipment that you bring. And so we're fully prepared for it. We had 3 guys test. I enjoy racing it.
You got a top 10 qualifying run yesterday. Where's your car at right now?
We're off a little bit. Our teammates all have different types of chassis than what this car is. This car we ran at Sirius Point. It's got a new body on it. I tore it to pieces over there. But just trying to get it sorted out. I think we're going to have the same setup as the 17 car when we're done with it.
And how do you feel, where are you right now in terms of your road racing ability? Do you feel like this year here at Watkins Glen, you're 100% better because you had another Sonoma and probably did a little testing and all that?
Yeah, we've just done some odds and end testing at places we don't race, but some brake tests and different things with shocks. But, you know, I can still pick it up a little bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably an 8, and there's still room to improve.
And as we found out, Wally, he likes being here.
Yeah, I knew he did. I was trying to get Kurt to drive with me in the 24-hour next year. We're working on a deal there for the next 24-hour, but maybe a manufacturer issue.
This would be out at the chicane, the bus stop, and the red flag is out for Kyle Petty having issues.
Yeah, you've got to hit the curb just right. Ooh, he did have some issues.
The big styrofoam blocks there, the softer barrier, if you will.
When you hit that curb, you have to let the car land and settle before you turn it.
Just make sure it's not been up and we'll go again. 10-4.
And it looked like Kyle was trying to turn it a little bit too early before the car settled. But when you launch yourself over a curb, you've got to let the car land, count 1/1000 before you crank on the steering wheel.
Jay, just to put the button on the issue of the road courses and whether they belong in Winston Cup racing or not, the thing that I like about it is the fact that it's to win the Winston Cup Championship is a test of a driver's versatility. Just think about this next month. We went from Indianapolis, big, flat, high-speed 2.5-mile track, Watkins Glen road course, High Bank, Michigan track, the Bristol Bull Ring. Going to win the championship, you've got to be good at all of those different types of tracks.
There should be just one more. Springfield.
The dirt mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people
the only
like
thing
to
we're
see
lacking.
that. Yeah. So red flag is out once again here in final practice at Watkins Glen. Mark Martin has cranked out the fastest lap so far. Inside the final 5 minutes of final practice here at Watkins Glen International for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Keep an eye on Jimmy Johnson, 9th fastest in the practice so far. We're talking about the styrofoam blocks here at Watkins Glen, and they certainly saved Jimmy Johnson here in a Busch race, NASCAR Busch Series of 2000. Watch this.
That is just unbelievable. He obviously had no brakes whatsoever here.
Flew across most of the gravel trap.
Right, and those styrofoam blocks, man, they did their job.
Jimmy able to climb from the car and say, "Can you believe I survived that?" Uh-oh.
Remember that guy I said earlier didn't like this place?
Yeah, he's not liking it anymore today.
No.
Yeah. Jimmy Spencer.
They got to go back to where they had it. They took fuel out and they made it.
That's Tommy Baldwin there. He and Jimmy having a chat about things, obviously. Jimmy got off at the bus stop chicane yesterday and wrinkled up the left rear corner of that Dodge. And I believe that's the same spot he's in today, right?
Yes, sir. It's tricky. The thing that's tricky here, too, on this road course thing, Alan, is when that fuel does burn off, the brake bias is something that you really have to stay on top of. You have to understand how those brakes can be balanced during a road course race, because you'll hear a lot of guys talking about fuel loads here, and that will get you in trouble so quick.
So you're adjusting it constantly from the cockpit as you run more laps and burn off more of that rear weight.
Yes. I don't think this probably was the issue with Jimmy, but again, a lot of these guys look like they're hitting that curb a whole lot more than they used to.
Well, you know, they go and they watch Robbie Gordon plow his car over the top of that in qualifying like
We'll be
that.
all right. Get a top 20 out of it.
You just can't hit that curb and be cranking on the steering wheel. You have to let the car land. You have to keep the wheels almost straight. The car's got to be settled after you hit a curb.
Talking about some of Jimmy's problems previously in the weekend, here was the practice incident from yesterday. Same spot on the track. Left rear corner repaired. Then in Bud Pole qualifying yesterday, the pavement generally is faster.
Definitely.
So that was at the beginning of Jimmy's lap and sent him chasing things from there. Dave?
And Paul Andrews discussing with Jeff what to do right now. They just made the decision not to come in and make any changes in the car, but to run it for a while because he'd only gotten a lap out there. Did you change your mind?
No, he's trying to change our mind a little bit, you know, just being we're a little undecisive. We hadn't really been real good here this weekend at all. We finally made a couple little changes and brought it around quite a bit. So we're just going to, you know, actually tighten it back up just a little bit then, and we're trying to make sure that's the right or wrong thing to do. You know, we only got like all the cautions, people spinning out getting in gravel. We only got like a half a lap each time, you know, so it's kind of hard to get a good judge. We know what we had before. We know that was better, so we can always go back to that.
They can get the baseline now. Yesterday was not a very happy day for you guys, was it?
Yeah, we were pretty disappointed with our qualifying effort, pretty disappointed in our car. You know, we thought we'd be a lot better than that, but we'll overcome it. It'll be all right.
And Jeff Burton, not a bad road racer either, guys.
Qualified 23rd yesterday here at Watkins Glen, and he has run the 8th fastest lap so far in this final practice. Been a pretty good weekend for Roush Racing.
Sure
Yesterday's
has.
qualifying. How about Greg Biffle popping up there?
Yeah, that's a heck of a lap.
Now, because of all the stoppages in practice, NASCAR has extended the time that the cars will be able to run until 12:05 Eastern.
Stoppages?
Stoppages.
Is that a word? Stoppages?
Yes, it's a word.
Well, it's not in my dictionary.
We need to get you down to the store and get you a new dictionary then, okay?
How about a dictionary?
Yeah, a dictionary. Okay. If I may finish my thought.
Okay. With the stoppages.
With the stoppages, they will allow practice to run until 12:05, and of course, Speed Channel will stay here with it live.
Of course.
Some of the crews for the NASCAR Busch North Series race that will run later here today, getting ready. You know, how about, all right, later. Matt, you got something for us?
Well, during this stoppage.
Thank you.
Matt Kent is sitting in the race car. Matty, a lot of changes throughout this session. How is your race car?
It's okay. I mean, we're just trying to get it to go a little bit better, but it's all right. It's not the fastest car starting off, but it stays real consistent. So we're just pretty happy with my first setup, so we're just trying some stuff to get a little bit more speed out of it.
I heard you say earlier in the radio the transmission was vibrating a little bit. Is it still vibrating?
Yeah, everything's okay. We just had 2 different transmissions. You know, we try to practice the transmission. We're not necessarily going to race to put miles on it, and we actually put our race transmission in and just vibrate a little bit more than other ones. So it's just we try to run 2 different ones off and find the one we like the best.
And this stoppage, Alan, actually helps out the 17 because they were running out of time. They wanted to try a different shock package and also put the sway bar back to where they had it before, and you can see the shocks going in the front. They're going to get that chance to make some changes.
Appreciate your support there, Matty.
State fan, Alan,
yes.
Any fellow Florida State fan, I have to help bail you out.
That's right. It's almost that time of year. I appreciate it. Matt Kenseth, 14th fastest in the practice, and again, the championship leader going to start 7th in the race tomorrow. Best finish here at Watkins Glen for Matt Kenseth, 10th in the race of 2000. So shall we try this again?
Let's. See if they can stay out of the kitty litter.
Yeah.
Not really kitty litter. The pretty good sized gravel.
Gravel trap, yeah.
Be a big cat.
Yes. Let's not go there. You know what I like about this paint job on Robbie Gordon's car? This is representative of the Fire Department of New York and the Special Olympics. It's an awareness and fundraising thing and that kind of thing. Right across the back bumper of the car, just like on the fire trucks, he's got a sticker that says, "Keep back 200 feet."
I don't think anybody's going to be paying attention to that.
I thought it was cute.
The drivers won't be paying attention to
Yeah.
that.
See him take the big air on the curve there again. Robbie, Kurt Busch, Bobby Labonte all out in that group. That's Jeff Burton right behind them. See Junior back on track also.
Robbie's got that car. I'd be interested to see how much fuel he's got in that car, because he's got that car pretty loose right now, which is what you want at the beginning of the fuel run. That fuel burns off, the car's going to get tighter. That's the balance you're looking for. Watch him go down to turn 1. See if he's a second gear or first gear. Some guys used to take that turn 1 in first gear, but it looks like second gear.
Probably got that smaller steering wheel that he brings out on the road courses.
A small steering wheel, quick steering box.
Of course, a weekend ago at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Robbie was lined up behind his teammate Kevin Harvick on the final restart with 10 laps to go in the Brickyard 400. In his post-race victory comments, Kevin gave Robbie credit for helping him win the race, saying he kept the traffic bottled up behind him enough to let me get away. For 2 guys that haven't often had the kindest things to say about each other as teammates, that was
a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Harvick went on to win. Robbie ended up getting shuffled back a few positions at the checkered flag, but nonetheless, a good day at Indianapolis for the Richard Childress team. And no doubt, good day here tomorrow at Watkins Glen for Robbie Gordon. His finishes here at the Glen, 4th, 4th, and 3rd. And his other finish of 40th in a race that he was running well, and then the telemetry box batteries went haywire on, and he wound up not finishing. Got something about gears for us, Dave?
Actually, I wanted to ask Wally about this because something I'm still tracking down with Robbie is what gear he's using down in the first turn. We've heard a lot of the road racers will use a tall first gear, and it sounds pretty tall when they push him out of the garage area. But I was talking to Ron Fellows a little while ago, and he said he's using second gear down in turn 1, which surprised me. Gets you off pit road a little bit quicker, and it's different when you head down in turn 1. Wally, what do you like?
Well, That's a tough question. I've used it both ways. If you've got a good motor, second gear is plenty. If you're making up for the motor, you need those RPMs and you go to first gear. But like you said, Dave, the problem with that is getting off pit lane, and the restarts make it very difficult if you're geared to go to first gear in turn 1. I think these cars are turning a lot more RPMs than they were 5 years ago too, which helps them keep in just second, third, and fourth gear.
Fellows. Pennzoil car, one of the ringers for the race tomorrow. P.J. Jones there in the 4 car also. Nice to see for Larry McClure, after missing the race with both entries he brought to Indianapolis last week. He got both entries in the race here, not far from his sponsor Kodak's hometown. So good for that Morgan McClure team. How about Ryan Newman? Friday didn't start off the best for the driver of the 12 car. He wound up looking at the world from a little bit of a different angle. That's in the outer loop at the far end of the course here. Big hit. But again, the big foam blocks there to cushion some of the impact. Ryan not too pleased. Felt like it took longer than it should have for the rescue workers to get to him. And you can see that 12 car was pretty well used up and has now been put away for use another time. But Ryan brought the backup car out, qualified at 13th. Made his Winston Cup debut here at Watkins Glen a year ago. And had a very solid finish. Came home the runner-up. Not bad. Finished 5th on the Sears Point course in June. So for a guy from an open-wheel background, sprint cars and midgets and that kind of thing, he's really taken road racing very well.
Caught on pretty quick. So did Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Remember the first time he went to Sirius Point, I think it was, he ran really good.
Wonder if that goes back to what Robbie Gordon was saying about loose race cars. Some of these open wheel guys used to run in a car sideways.
Yeah.
And Greg Biffle qualified 2nd. Daytona Pepsi 400 winner. Saw the trip into the gravel trap he made in this morning's practice session earlier, but Biffle a pretty strong effort here this weekend. Just put the fastest lap up on the board. How about that? You're telling me that Greg and his teammate Mark Martin came up here to test, and Mark got into Greg's car and couldn't go any faster than Greg did. Got out of Greg's car and said, that is a crazy driver. Not that Mark's, got a bad piece here this weekend. Mark is 2nd fastest, but said that Mark was just trying to gauge where his car was against Greg's because Greg was running pretty well.
You're going to have guys that run real soft setups here, and you're going to have guys that run real stiff setups. It's just all driver preference. And one guy will go really fast with one and get in the other setup and won't be able to drive it.
What's that all about? Is he waiting on somebody? Came off the corner, slowed down like he was going to pit roll. Oh, maybe he's practicing a pit entry for a green flag pit stop. See him, he came off that last corner at speed, slowed down, and then went by and kept on going. I wonder if he was practicing a pit entry for when he would have to make a green flag stop tomorrow. Could be. Trying to get all you can coming to pit road. How about it, Dave?
Well, Ryan Newman's crew chief, Matt Borland. Now, Matt, I haven't seen you guys work so hard in a long time. How hard do these guys work, and has Ryan got the car where he likes it now?
The guys worked real hard all weekend. I mean, it's an unfortunate deal that happened yesterday, but it happens. And, Ryan was just trying to do a good job, and those things happen sometimes, but the guys did a great job, and Ryan's pretty happy with the car right now, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, they did work hard, guys. I mean, every time you looked at them, something was going wrong. This morning, they were working again on some stuff that they had with the brake line, and they've been putting out the effort. Matt?
Dave, his teammate, crew chief Billy Wilburn. Now, what have you guys been working on over here in the 2 garage?
Well, we've done a couple runs, try to get a little bit on reading on our fuel mileage, and we've changed our front shocks a couple times, and we just made a change on our rear sway bar, trying to free the car up just a little bit. And right now, he just called in. We got to make a little tape change on the front too. So everything's going pretty smooth right now. We got our brake problem fixed, we think. If that's good, I think we'll be good for tomorrow.
Well, remember, Rusty Wallace has 6 career road course wins. He'd love to get one more tomorrow, break that long winless streak, and also join Jeff Gordon as the all-time road course winner. Alan?
Rusty Wallace starting 5th tomorrow here at Watkins Glen. And the extended Winston Cup practice is over. Red and black flags are out. Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, pictured there, have run the 5 fastest laps in this final practice. So what it's going to come down to tomorrow, Wally, same things as usual here at Watkins Glen. Track position, pit strategy, and some fast driver like Robbie Gordon. Can he get out in front and do something with it?
And no mistakes.
Jeff Gordon starting very, very strongly for tomorrow's race. He'll lead the field to the green flag from pole position. Mark Martin will be very, very strong as well, trying to get a 4th win here at Watkins Glen. Dale Jr. with some struggles in today's practice session, but nonetheless came back out to post the 3rd fastest lap of the day. And the race for the championship continues tomorrow at Watkins Glen. NBC coverage starting at 1 Eastern time for Watkins Glen tomorrow. And coming up next here on Speed Channel, we join Trackside in Progress. For Wally Dallenbach, Alan Bestwick, so long from Watkins Glen.